All right, welcome everyone. Wow, we have so many people on today. I am so excited to bring this topic to you. I've been working really, really hard on this particular topic because of everything that's going on and because I get asked this a lot. And I always talk to you guys about nutrition being the foundation of health, and of course some supplements and things that can help, but haven't really dove into nutrition other than being like, here's a brand I like every once in a while, because I don't want to be I don't want to be exclusive. It's a lot of work to dig through all of the products that are out there, and I really hope you guys learn something today and get something out of this. Especially those of you that have heard the nutrition webinar last year. There will be some overlap, but there's some new stuff as well. So let me share my screen here and get this party started. All right, can you guys see my slides? Can you see my slides? Give me a thumbs up if you can see my slides. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So we are here today to talk about animal nutrition. This is a workshop that is exclusive to Essential Oil Vet members. This is one of the bonuses, one of the benefits that you get of being an Essential Oil Vet member for very nominal cost. And I did send you guys a PDF today. So you guys got a list of recommended pet foods for those of you with dogs and cats. And we're going to be covering a little bit of that today. But I'm not going to go through and list all the different foods that are on there. You guys can download the PDF for that. It's great. So before we get started, though, I do want to do a giveaway. So at the very end, we're going to do a really awesome giveaway. So you might want to stick around for that. But we're going to do also an awesome giveaway, but we're going to give away a couple of oils, essential oils today. So for those of you that are new, I'm the Essential Oil Vet, Dr. Jana Ork. I'm a veterinarian in Central Texas, and the Essential Oil Vet on social media and in real life. So we're going to give away a Digest as Then Touch and a Tamer blend. Both of these are very good for digestion. You guys got to see my little broken finger on that. If you are wanting this particular duo to support your animals, these are both good for dogs, cats, horses, any species really. They're already pre-diluted, so you don't even have to think about it. You can use it as is. And if you need one of these or both of these, let me know. We do mail outside of the United States, regardless of where you live. We will mail it to you at my expense. But if this is one that you'd like, type me or yes in the chat, and we will choose someone. Oh goodness. I think they want this one, Haley. All right. Who do we have? Oh goodness. It's going too fast. Linda Bambino. Linda, you are the winner of the Tamer and Digest Then. Congratulations. It's a good one. So very good. And that's what you get for being on time. So what we're going to cover today, we're going to jump right into it. We're going to cover the basics of nutrition for all species. And it's a little hard to talk about nutrition. Some of you are like, I only care about dogs. And some of you are like, I only care about horses. And some of you are like, I only care about chickens. We're not actually going to cover chicken nutrition. If you want that information, we do have a recording of chicken nutrition in the membership as well. You can go watch that video. But we're going to cover the basics of nutrition for all species, regardless of what kind of animal that you have. And then we're going to do a little workshopping, and we're going to talk a little bit about pet food specifically. And then we're going to get into the traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, kind of talking about hot, cold, and neutral foods from a TCVM perspective. Okay, so this is very basic, kind of high level stuff. If you're like, this makes no sense to me, hopefully it'll make a little bit of sense to you. after this, and you'll be able to choose some foods, even if they're whole food toppers for your animal's food, your animal's bowl, based on if they need something hot, something cold, or something neutral. And I'll give you the indications for that as well. And then we're going to give you some daily recommendations and some examples. And then we're going to talk just a teeny bit about incorporating some essential oils and supplements into the routine. And if we have time at the end, we'll hopefully have time for questions. And if not, you guys can always ask questions on the Sunday Q&A. For those of you that are new, we do a Q&A every Sunday with me at 6 p.m. Central. So some nutrition basics. We're basically going to be talking about nutrition as the foundation of health. Nutrition is a part of overall animal management, and it's essential to health and well-being. What goes in, you are what you eat, right? We talk about that in for humans, and it's also the same with animals. So what we're feeding is very, very important because they don't really have a choice in what they eat most of the time. You know, barn cats maybe can go eat a grasshopper or a mouse, that's their choice, as well as whatever food the owner puts out for them. But most of the time they don't have a choice. They have to eat what you feed them. And so it's our responsibility to kind of know and provide what based on our knowledge, what is best for them. Now, nutrition is the foundation of health. It is the solid foundation. You can't out supplement a bad diet. That goes for people, that goes for horses, that goes for dogs, that goes for cats. You cannot out supplement a bad diet. Food is medicine. It is medicine. And so we absolutely need to talk about this. Animals actually rely on you as their caregiver to provide nutrition to meet their physiological and behavioral needs. Yes, nutrition affects behavior. If you have an animal that has anxiety, we need to look at their food. We need to look at what you're giving them and make sure that it makes sense for that particular animal. And nutrition plays a huge role in influencing the animal's susceptibility to disease, which means their immune system in general, making them hopefully preventing disease, as well as if they do get sick with something, it's super important in disease management. That's why in veterinary medicine, there's so many prescription diets. There's no medicine in any of the prescription diets. It's just different formulations to help certain diseases, okay, like renal disease, like liver disease, like crystals or stones in the urine and bladder. So all of these things are really important. And of course, it goes without saying that water is an essential nutrient. We're not going to talk about water a ton, but you will notice in my recommended foods that a lot of the more recommended foods and not the least recommended foods have water in them already. So water is an essential nutrient, and we need to make sure our animals are getting enough of it. They're getting fresh water, they're getting clean water, they're getting not tap water, because that's full of, especially if you live in the city, there's fluorides and things like that in chlorine sometimes in the actual water, unless you filter it. So water is an essential nutrient, and dogs and cats actually need a pH neutral, 7 pH 7 water, as opposed to an alkalizing water, which is a little bit better for humans. Oops. All right. So there are some things to consider when it comes to nutrition. The first thing is the species. We want to work with nature to feed a species appropriate diet. Species appropriate diet. Also, we need to consider digestive function. Think about any animal really, when they're newborn, they're primarily eating mama's milk, right? And so, but as they get older, their microbiome changes in their gut, their GI function changes, and so they can process different types of foods. We also need to consider their signalement, the animal's individual signalement. So is it a young animal? Is it an old animal? Is it male or female or neutered? What breed is it? It's a large breed dog that grows quickly during their younger years. Are they lactating? Are they milking? What's their gestation status? Is it a pregnant animal? Or are they nursing some puppies or young in general? Really important for like goats and things like that. We also need to consider the environment and the climate. So this absolutely relates to food energetics in traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. And I'm not going to teach, you're not going to be an expert on traditional Chinese veterinary medicine at the end of this talk. Okay. And you're not going to be necessarily an expert at nutrition, but I want you to be armed with the tools, some tools to, for those of you that want to dig in and learn more, there's definitely going to be places you can do that as well. So, for example, we're at the time of this recording in winter. We're in the middle of winter in North America. So it's cold. And so when we think about how our ancestors used to eat, think about what they ate each season. And it changed based on what was available, right? So in the winter time, what did people, and probably animals too, because they usually ate what the people ate, eat? They would eat hunted food, potentially. They would eat canned food, primarily, dried food, primarily, some comfort food, maybe some leftover pumpkin squash, that sort of thing from the garden that survives well over the winter, versus the summer when maybe fruits and vegetables are abundant and they're eating more of those. So we can factor in the season and where you live in the world to into our feeding, and should adjust seasonally accordingly, even with our animals. The other thing to consider is physical activity. Are they a couch potato, or are they running around like crazy all the time like border collies? So and then how much physical activity are they actually getting? Do you do canine sports with your dog? Do you run marathons with your dog? Do you do advanced jumping with your horse, or do you just walk around on a trail ride? So what kind, or are they just a pasture pet because they're retired? So physical activity, also a thing to consider. And then always consider the individual. You absolutely cannot feed every animal the same way, even if it's the same species, even if it's the same litter of puppies. You can't feed every animal the same way. They're all different. They absorb nutrients differently. Now we can pretty much, and so when people come to me, and this is why I've been so hesitant actually about talking about this, is that people will be like, well, just give us the answer, just give us one thing and we'll feed all of our animals this one thing. And I can't do that, because some animals need a little bit more support in one area, some maybe need a little more support in another area. Maybe some animals have some anxiety, and the gut is directly linked to that, and so we need to get the gut healthy. Maybe an animal has allergies, maybe so many different things that we absolutely cannot feed every animal the same way. And I know it's convenient to be able to do that, especially in, like, I have 4 dogs. Like, I would love to be able to feed them all the same way, but I can't, because one of them's a super senior, one's kind of heading to the senior years. I have one very young, small dog, and so they're all so different. Their metabolism is so different, and they're all super healthy and shiny because I don't feed them the same way. Also, you want to consider variety. So in nature, seasons mean differences in food availability, which we kind of covered in the environment and climate section here. And so that is something we should consider with our animals as well. That is something we should consider with our animals as well. Also, what kind of quality are we feeding? You want to feed fresh food, high quality, obviously clean foods, minimally processed foods, limited ingredient whenever possible. And this makes a really big difference. Now, the other thing is to keep it simple. So nutrition can be extremely complex. Believe me, I've taken thousands of hours of training on this. However, you need to be able to do something for your animals that you'll actually do. So keeping it simple, making it easy, because increasing your stress with difficult feeding regimens actually increases our animal stress at all. And then you kind of get mad because you're like, oh my gosh, I have to make food again. It's just so hard. So you've got to pick a program and pick a nutrition plan that works for you and your lifestyle and your animals, and have it work, be doable. You have to be able to do it and not stress out about it. So we're going to go over some different ways to do it today. So let's talk about some nutrition basics. So what do animals eat? A lot of it depends on their species, right? So herbivores, these are animals that depend on plants and fruits for their nutrition. These are horses, cows, goats, sheep, rabbits, guinea pigs, tortoises, etc. There's a lot of herbivores out there. Those are kind of the more common ones that we see. And then we have omnivores. These are animals that eat both plants and animals. So bearded dragons are omnivores. They eat bugs. Rats, pigs, chickens are omnivores because they eat lots of bugs. Same thing with ducks. And other, again, there are a lot of omnivores out there. And then we have our carnivores, and these are our primary pets, some of the most common pets we have in our home, which these are animals that depend on other animals for food, aka meat. We have two different types of carnivores. We have obligate carnivores. These are your cats, snakes, some birds, etc. These are animals that live off of meat and meat alone, and meat and bones, and sometimes organ meat. They rely on another animal, like cats eating mice, like that is their ideal food source, right? So, when we are feeding animals prepared diets, these obligate carnivores especially, we need to really factor that in and not give them too many carbs, not give them too much grain, not give them too many vegetables or fruits, because they really need meat. They need other animals for food. And then we have facultative carnivores, and these are carnivores that have adapted a little bit. So these are carnivores that can also eat and digest some plants. Dogs are an amazing example of this. Now, these are not omnivores because they are still carnivores. They have got to have meat in order to really survive and thrive. However, they've adapted pretty well, and they will even when they're eating other animals for food, they'll actually eat the contents of those herbivores digestive tract. So they'll be eating some of the grains and plants and things that maybe an herbivore ate as their food. So this is kind of what they eat. And now they are not omnivores. You can actually look at their little canine teeth, and that'll tell you, compare it to ours, humans are omnivores, then you'll actually see that they are really truly carnivores, just like cats. So no, cats are obligate carnivores. Dogs are facultative carnivores. All right, so what are some of the nutrition requirements in animals? And again, we already covered that water is essential. I'm not going to go over that again, but always consider water. Our animals, especially our dogs and cats, are very good at dehydrating themselves. They, especially since, our dogs, we only let them outside a certain number of times a day, usually, and so they want to hold it, and a lot of times they'll drink less water as a result of that. So cats especially are extremely good at just walking around in a subclinical state of dehydration. So here's some nutritional requirements in animals. We have carbohydrates, lipids, fats, proteins, vitamins, and minerals. Carbohydrates, this is where energy needs vary. Of course, temperature and environment, as well as physical activity, play a big role in this. So more carbs, increase physical activity, increase energy needs, that sort of thing. And our herbivores thrive off of carbohydrates. Then we have lipids and fats. These are composed of fatty acids that are important for cell membrane formation, nerve sheaths, hormone synthesis within the body. These are absolutely essential. We call them essential fatty acids for a reason. And then we have proteins. This is the framework of the body. These are composed of amino acids, and they're important for different parts of the body, membranes, muscles, ligaments, tendons, and the enzymes that the body produces as well. And vitamins are absolutely critical as well. We have essential vitamins, vitamin A, B, D3, etc. And then we have minerals, which are important for bone formation, energy metabolism, proper muscle function, and more. And within minerals, we have both macro minerals and micro minerals. Our macro minerals are calcium, phosphorus, chlorine, magnesium, potassium, and sodium. And our micro minerals, those are copper, iron, zinc, manganese, and selenium. There's a few others. These are all nutritional requirements for animals, all animals. Now, getting into that, now we're going to get into a little bit of the controversy, and you might have seen me post this. My friend Poppy actually made this graphic, and thank you, Poppy Phillips, for that. She's an animal naturopath, and she actually dug into this and got this information. So when we're talking about pet food, it's important to know that the pet food industry is a it's, I think it's an $86 billion industry. Okay. And there are a lot of different brands of pet food out there, and a lot of them are actually owned by the same companies. They just have different names. So Purina or Nestle, think Nestle, like, you know, that candy company, actually in 2022 had their earnings of almost $20 billion from pet food. And they, that's their primary thing is Purina. They also have Castor and Pollux, Land O'Lakes, etc. Mars, yes, the candy company, also close to 20 billion in 2022. They own Pedigree, Whiskas, Royal Canin, Akana, Crave, Temptations, Treats, Nom Nom Now, Nutro, Origin, now they own, Sheba, Dreamies. There's so many that Mars owns. And they also own a couple of different horse feeds as well, Buckeye, Spillers, and Winergy. And then Colgate, yes, Colgate, the toothpaste company, and Palmolive own, they made about 4 billion in 2022. They own Hills and Ideal Balance and Healthy Advantage. And Shell and Campeter, they they purchased Diamond Foods in 2022. They're a $1.5 billion per year company. So they have Diamond Naturals, Taste of the Wild, anything Costco, Kirkland, that's them, etc. Nutrigold, Post, the cereal company, cereal, they actually purchased 14 brands in 2023. They're getting bigger and bigger and bigger in the pet food industry. They own Rachel Ray, Nature's Recipe, 9 Lives, Kibbles and Bits, Gravy Train, Perfection Pet Foods, and General Mills. Yeah, General Mills, the cereal company. They made about 2.3 billion in 2022. They are the people that own Blue Buffalo, Blue Wilderness, Blue Freedom, Blue Basics, Life Protect, and Blue Natural Veterinary Diet. So these are just a few of the big ones out there, and they're owned by companies that really, I don't even know what they're doing. I mean, they're in the food industry, I guess, primarily, but yeah, making a lot of pet food. It's interesting. Just something to think about. So what's in your pet food? There's some things that you want to look for, and there's some things that you want to really avoid. So the things to look for, these are the things that you want in your pet food. You want a high meat content. You want high moisture, water. Remember, dogs and cats are walking around in a subclinical state of dehydration at all times. You want whole food ingredients that you actually recognize and understand. Ideally, you want raw, freeze-dried raw, gently cooked or dehydrated, and you want a low amount of any kind of synthetics in there and minimally processed whenever possible. What to avoid in pet food? You want to avoid starchy carbohydrates. And I cannot stress this enough. When we're talking about dogs and cats, really should not have these. Peas, lentils, wheat, corn, soy, potatoes, chickpeas. Think of all those super starchy carbohydrates. We actually think that there is a link to these legumes like peas and lentils binding to nutritional taurine and causing a dietary related taurine deficiency in some animals. So really pay attention to that, because a lot of times grain free means they put a lot of peas and lentils and those sorts of things in the food instead as a filler, which is really not what we should be feeding our dogs and cats. Okay. Avoid anything that says byproduct or meal. Avoid anything that has binders in it, guar gum, gluten, carrageenan. Carrageenan is actually cancer causing. Okay. Avoid any kind of synthetics. These are usually in the vitamins and minerals, and a lot of times you don't know if it's synthetic or not. So just keep in mind that a lot of the vitamin and mineral mixes out there are synthetic and not natural. And then avoid anything that's highly processed. Okay. Are you guys ready to go look and see what's in your pet's food? So this is a workshop, so I'm gonna make you guys do this. We're gonna take about what time is it? Yeah, we're gonna take about 3 minutes and you're gonna go look and see what's in your pet's food. Take a moment to go look at the ingredients of your pet's food on the bag, on the package, or in the can if you have it. And then what are the first 5 ingredients? Or if you just want to list the first 3, that's fine too. I want you to post your result in the chat box and let us know how you feel about those ingredients. So go do that right now. All right. I'm reading all your guys' ingredients. Some of you probably pretty good, really good options. And some of you had some of those things on the list of those things that we want to avoid, right? So I hope this is not a place where we're not trying to shame anybody or this isn't about pet food shame or beating you up or anything like that. However, I want you guys to know what you're feeding your animals. The point of this is know what you're feeding your animals, and maybe we can improve that. And that's why you're here, right? Is to learn and to do better and things like that. So yeah. So lots of really good ones in there. So some of you have been doing a really good job, and some of you might need to take a look at that list I sent out to you guys today and maybe choose something different next time. So really good, really good. Okay. What do you guys think? Was that helpful? Was that little exercise helpful? Give me a thumbs up if it was helpful. Awesome. All right. Next thing. Now we're going to get into the TCVM stuff. Okay. So if this goes over your head, don't worry about it. This is a little more advanced. And if you really want to dig into this, I know there's some really great courses for pet owners on this. Dr. Judy Morgan actually has some really good ones. So this is an intro to hot and cold as it pertains to traditional Chinese veterinary medicine. We're not talking about the actual temperatures of the food. But when we talk about heat, heat can mean a couple of different things. So we have pathogenic heat that's coming in from the outside. We have excess yang or insufficient yin. So when we talk about yin and yang, that's the balance that everything has. Every living thing especially has a balance of yin and yang. And when yin and yang are in balance, we have health. And when we have too much yang, we have heat. If we don't have enough yin, which is cooling, then we have too much heat. It isn't because there's too much yang, though. It's because there's not enough yin. And a lot of times we do have yin deficiency in older animals. And so some examples of what heat might look like in your animals is redness, any kind of redness. So allergies is often like a heat symptom when there's redness, panting, a rapid breathing or a rapid fast pulse, any kind of bleeding. Any heat actually stirs up the Chinese wind. When we talk about wind, we're talking about convulsions or spasms, muscle twitching, things like that, but also seizures. An aversion to heat. So they're always trying to like lay down on the cold floor, wanting to go out in the snow, that sort of thing. They're searching out cool places. Sometimes they have insomnia or they're very restless at night. A lot of times yellow and green are associated with heat. So if you look at like maybe the film on their tongue, it might be yellow or green. If they have eye goobers and they're yellow or green, that's heat, usually pathogenic heat. Dark urine, dry stool because the heat is burning up the moisture in their body. And then any kind of restlessness, even during the day, just pacing restlessness, or they're very, very thirsty. They're drinking all the time. So all of these are symptoms of TCVM heat. And cold is kind of the opposite, right? So cold, we have pathogenic cold from the outside coming in, or excess yin, too much yin, which is cool, or not enough yang. So we'll have yang deficiency. And symptoms of cold in an animal, they might have chills, they might be aversive to the cold, they seek out heat, they prefer being underneath the blankets, for example, prefer warm drinks and their food warmed, actual temperature wise. They're a lot of times they have paleness. Their mucous membranes might be a little pale. Their breathing is slow. Their gait is slower. They're not drinking very much. Their urine is quite clear. Their tongue is very moist instead of dry. They might have loose stool or watery stool. Their extremities, their paws and their ears are quite cold. They might have some edema, some swelling in their legs, especially. You might see some urinary incontinence, can often be a symptom of cold, or they're very weak in their back end. Those are all cold symptoms. So we do have some foods that can kind of combat that. And so we're just going to go over kind of which foods fall into which category. So, for example, if you have an animal that is displaying cold symptoms, then we can actually feed warming foods and it will actually help them. Same thing if you have an animal that's exhibiting heat symptoms. You can feed cooling foods, which a lot of these we recommend for animals with allergies, for example. Or you can feed neutral foods if you're like, well, they're sometimes cold, sometimes hot, or you can change it up. And all of these are totally safe to give to dogs and cats. So our hot foods or warm foods, some of them are more hotter than others, are chicken, egg yolk, chicken liver, goat's milk, ham, lamb and goat. Lamb is quite hot. Venison is very, very hot. Pheasant, or beef or lamb kidney. So we're specifically talking about the kidneys for that. Cool foods in the protein department are rabbit, cod, duck, turkey, yogurt, whitefish, alligator, egg white, and shark. And so we have egg white, which is cool, and egg yolk, which is warm. And when you put them together, you have a neutral food. So if you give a whole egg, it's a very neutral food. That's what actually helps promote Jing in older animals. So it's really, really good for your older animals. So neutral foods would be beef, the actual meat, beef liver and tripe, catfish, whole eggs, neutral food, right? Because it's the egg white and egg yolk together, cow's milk, pork, pork kidney and liver, quail, and tuna are all very neutral. When it comes to veggies and fruits, our hot or warm veggies and fruits are pumpkin, quinoa, raspberry, squash. Sweet potatoes they might be a little bit more neutral. They're quite sweet, but they are a great option in a lot of cases. They're maybe more on the warm side to neutral side. Walnuts, blackberries, papaya, and ginger. And then in the cool department, we have banana, apple, cucumber, watermelon, strawberry, blueberry, kelp, seaweed, broccoli, celery, and spinach. Kind of foods that we would eat in the summertime, right? And to help cool us down. And then we have our neutral foods, which are carrots, cauliflower, cabbage, dates and figs, pineapple is neutral, potatoes, shiitake mushrooms, yams, and a lemon. And for grains, beans, and other types of foods, we have in our hot or warm category, brown sugar, oats, olive oil, rice vinegar, white rice, turmeric, basil, rosemary, and fennel. And in our cool category, we have barley, brown rice, flaxseed oil, oil, green tea, honey, millet, sesame oil, salt, and wheat flour. And we have our neutral category, kind of the beans and peas. So black beans, green peas, corn, peanuts, peanut oil, soybeans, white sugar, and tapioca. So, and then some foods that you might give the herbivores. For our horse people, our warm foods would be oats, sweet feed, ginger, papaya, fennel, turmeric, olive oil, pumpkin, and cinnamon. Our cold or cool foods are barley, bran, grass, hay, alfalfa, cucumber, watermelon or watermelon rind, pear, and then flaxseed or flaxseed oil and celery. And then our neutral foods, corn, rice bran, beet pulp, carrots, apples, rice vinegar, peanut oil, brown sugar. So brown sugar is kind of like neutral to warm, and then cabbage. And when we have our herbs and our essential oils, these actually fall into categories as well. So our hot or warm, from a TCVM perspective, herbs and oils are thyme, coriander, clove, lemongrass, ginger, turmeric, rosemary, fennel, and basil. Kind of our hotter, spicier oils, right? And then our cool herbs and oils, peppermint, bergamot, lemon, lime, any of your citruses, geranium, chamomile, cilantro, spearmint, gardenia, lavender, and celery seed. And then our more neutral oils and herbs are myrrh, clary sage, frankincense, tea tree, copaiba, patchouli, orange, and green mandarin, as well as rose. So those are, hopefully you could grab some screenshots of those. Those are really helpful when you're choosing specific foods for specific individual animals, especially for toppers for foods. So now we're going to get into some daily recommendations and examples. And the first one we're going to do is cats. So cats, remember, are obligate carnivores. So ideally, you feeding them a hunter-prey model of eating only 1 to 2 meals per day, unless they have a certain dietary restriction where they have to eat multiple meals throughout the day. Leaving food out for cats is pretty much the worst thing you can do for cats. They do not eat that way, that their digestive tract is not designed that way. Pooches are not actually cute. They're actually fat accumulation. I have so many people that are like, it's their primordial pooch. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just a fat pouch. I wish people liked my pooch, but they don't. So feeding 1 to 2 meals per day is actually really good for cats. Feeding high protein, remember they're obligate carnivores, moderate fat diet, and very, very, very low carbohydrates. They simply can't digest them and actually causes really digestive upset usually. Raw is extremely good for cats. You can heat it up a little bit, gently cook it if you want, but when a cat eats a mouse, they eat it raw at body temperature. So an example would be to feed something like Darwin's Pet, a neutral protein source like turkey, and giving them a multivitamin. I really like the Nuvat Plus vitamins, an omega-3 to keep their skin and heart healthy as well as their brain healthy. So sardines are a great source of omega-3s. So you can actually just give a sardine or two in their diet as well, giving a probiotic and digestive enzyme supplement. There's lots of them out there. Herbs and oils as needed. So I don't do necessarily oils and herbs every single day with cats unless they need it. And a lot of them do if they have problems. But if they're healthy, otherwise, just keep it steady. Okay. Now we also have Dr. Judy Morgan. My friend, Dr. Judy Morgan, came up with a homemade recipe that is a really, really simple and really good. And if you guys want to, I'm not going to read this to you guys. If you want to snag a picture of this, or just go follow Dr. Judy Morgan. Her Instagram has this on there. It tells you how to make it. Very simple ingredients, and then adding, the fish oil and things like that to it. Are we good? Okay. So for dogs, remember, are facultative carnivores. So digestive enzymes and probiotics are absolutely key for dogs because their digestive tract is the shortest digestive tract for their size out of any other animal. So really short digestive tract. So we need to make sure that they are able to digest their food, and feeding whole foods is really important for that. There's a lot of different models out there. Some people like to make their own, like have a meat organ bone ratio of 80-10-10 or 70-20-10. And then you can definitely add veggies and fruits to that as well. Remember, they're facultative carnivores, so they can digest those things. And so dogs do really well with a moderate protein, not high protein, but moderate protein, moderate fat, low carbohydrate. Not very, very low like with cats. They can handle some carbohydrates. Now, should you feed raw? Should you feed cooked? That's totally up to you. Homemade is always best, and then gently cooked or raw is my favorite. It's my favorite, and there's a lot of really good ones out there. You guys probably know by now if you followed me for any amount of time. Maybe new people don't, but I feed my own animals Darwin's. Sometimes I heat it up and cook it for my senior animals, but they get raw and do really, really well. If you must feed kibble, I really, really had a hard time making that list for you guys because I did not want to put any kibble on there because it sucks water out of their cells and it actually makes them very dehydrated. And so if you must feed kibble, feed less kibble and have 20% of the diet be those whole food toppers that we've talked about. They can be the neutral ones based on the TCVM stuff we just went through, or just whatever you have in your home that you're feeding your own family. is probably pretty good as long as it's not processed foods. So I don't want you guys to go make your dogs a homemade diet and feed them hot dogs and, veggie patties or, all the, what, or, cornflakes and, and, what are the most processed foods that people, cornflakes and crackers and popcorn, that's junk food, right? It's junk food for us and it's junk food for dogs. They shouldn't actually have that. So whole foods, fruits, vegetables, proteins, that's it. So raw or homemade cooked or prepared cooked diet are all excellent options for dogs. Heating it up, especially for your senior dogs or your dogs that are a little bit have a little too much yin, maybe they run on the cold side, so heating it up a little bit will actually help them temperature wise. Giving them a digestive enzyme, probiotics, an omega-3, and the dosing for dogs for omega-3s is quite high. It's 500 milligrams of omegas per 10 pounds of body weight, and that's on the high end. You can work your way up to that. So 1,000 milligrams is usually what people take, which I think is actually a little low for people too. And so, we're like, oh, well, we take 1,000. My, 90-pound dog can take 1,000, right? Nope. They should be getting more like 5,000. So, so much higher doses. And remember, those omegas are going to help their heart, their skin, their coat. Really good for their digestion, really good for their, just cell membranes in general, and their brain as well. Giving them a multivitamin, again, like NuVet Plus, and a joint supplement. I like the New Joint DS as my favorite. It's very clean, very few ingredients, and an extremely good company that I've researched a ton. I actually have a really good relationship with them and know how they source their ingredients, which is really important, I know, to a lot of you guys. And then, of course, daily herbs and support oils as needed. And so I think I know, so I don't have like a specific example, but you might do daily oils like frankincense, turmeric, and copaiba for a senior dog that has maybe some arthritis and things like that. And then, of course, Dr. Judy Morgan has this great pup loaf as well. Again, very simple to make. And you can grab a screenshot of this or go over to her website or her Instagram to grab this information as well. And of course, I finished it today, the pet food recommendations list that you guys have been begging me for years. And you guys have an email with that information in it, and it will also include it in the replay that we send out to all of you guys tomorrow via email. You can also grab that on the portal, the membership portal that all of you have access to over at essentialoilvet.com/pet food. And you'll be able to download that list right there, which also has a great list of whole food toppers that you can give your pets as well. It also has this little chart, which is largely based, well, it's really largely based on my experience, but also similar to what they have in Forever Dog. Homemade is always best. Gently cooked or raw is next, then freeze-dried, dehydrated, canned, air-dried, then baked, then dry. Again, it has to do with really how much stuff is processed. And remembering, keeping in mind that homemade does not mean hot dogs and pretzels, okay? All right. Moving on to horses. I know a lot of you have horses in here, so some daily recommendations and examples for horses. Horses are pseudo ruminants, and so they're designed to eat small amounts of food all day long with their heads down, grazing. Okay, fiber is absolutely king for pseudo ruminants. So this goes for rabbits as well. Fiber. You cannot have enough fiber. Grain should be given as needed based on the environment and based on physical activity. Ideally, a low sugar feed. We're seeing lots and lots of Cushing's horses these days. And then making sure that your horse gets an oral exam and dental equilibration or a float at least annually by a veterinarian, preferably not a lay person, because a lot of times they mess those up. Okay. Also ensuring that they get lots of turnout, preferably 24/7 turnout, free choice pasture whenever available, or free choice grass hay. And this is, most horses do really, really well on this. However, some horses, some ponies don't need quite that much, and should be limited with maybe a slow feeding hay net or something like that. If you can, feed hay before grain. If they're on free choice hay, that's not an issue because they're eating hay all the time. Avoid letting their stomach be completely empty at any time. This leads to ulcerations. This leads to, a lot of gastric problems and colic even. So small amounts throughout the day, always ideal. If you have the choice, feed less grain and more hay. More hay is always better than more grain, just to keep weight on them. If they're losing weight and you don't have them on free choice hay, switch to free choice hay, as opposed to giving more and more grain. If you must do grain, senior feeds are excellent because they are very high in fiber, which is what we want. Keep them off sand whenever possible. If it's completely unavoidable to feed them off of sand, then, and which is very true in lots of parts of the world, give psyllium on a regular basis. So usually 7 days of psyllium once a month, if they're on sand, just to make sure they don't get a sand impaction. And then prebiotics, probiotics, postbiotics are absolute must. The microbiome is king, is absolutely essential for any kind of digestive and nutrition health. So prebiotics, probiotics for every species. You heard me say it for cats, you heard me say it for dogs, and you heard me say it for horses, and it's really all species. Now, giving omegas is also really important for horses to keep their coat shiny. Again, heart health, brain health, skin and coat health, absolutely important. For horses, obviously, we're not going to give fish oil to horses because it's not bioavailable. The most bioavailable omega is in the form of flaxseed. And you can do flaxseed oil or flaxseed, ground flaxseed. Try not to do whole flaxseed just because a lot of it, it takes a lot to break that down in the digestive tract, and they actually don't utilize it as much as well as ground flaxseed or flaxseed oil. And then the bioavailability for cats and dogs, they can have flaxseed, especially if they're allergic to fish, but marine sources of omegas is ideal and much, much more bioavailable for dogs and cats than flaxseed. Okay. And then, of course, we're going to talk about incorporating essential oils and supplements, because I am the essential oil vet, and I know you guys care about this. You hear me talk about this all the time. So a lot of oils that really help the digestive system in general and nutrition, the foundation of health, are listed on this slide. So DigestZen, Tamer, those things that we gave away at the beginning here, those are our digestive blends. And DigestZen Touch is already pre-diluted and totally safe to use for dogs and cats. Tamer is excellent for cats. It's our kids blend. And so it's very, very diluted and excellent for even the smallest of kittens. Copaiba, turmeric, and frankincense. These three are great anti-inflammatory oils. They really help support the digestive tract. They help support joints. They help support cellular health, overall health. Turmeric has so many scientifically proven benefits, cancer prevention, all of the things. And so I really like these three, especially for dogs on a daily basis in their food, both preventatively and supportively for every age. Super, super helpful for cellular health. And then ginger, very good for, well, a lot of people know about ginger. We're drinking ginger tea when your tummy hurts and things like that. So taking that as needed. A lot of dogs do really well with ginger. Ginger is a little spicy for cats, so diffusing is usually all that's needed. If there's any kind of nausea, hairballs, things like that, diffusing a little ginger can be really helpful. Roman chamomile, believe it or not, extremely supportive of the digestive tract, especially if you have this, if you have any kind of like reflux or anything like that. Sometimes it's just too much inflammation in the digestive tract, and if frankincense doesn't work, try Roman chamomile. It soothes the tummy quite significantly, especially if there's anxiety. There's anxiety as well. On Guard can be really useful in the food as well. Feed, these are all internal use of these oils. And with On Guard, I really like this for ongoing digestive. Actually, it's kind of like a natural antibiotic, antiviral. And so it's really helpful for environmental threats. It's helpful for helping just a natural detox, preventing preventing pests and worms and things like that. And it's super helpful for, animals that have chronic urinary tract infections and or skin infections or any kind of infections. Also extremely good for allergy animals. Juniper berry, extremely supportive of the liver, which is a big part of digestion and nutrition, and also extremely supportive of the urinary tract, including the kidneys. So kidney and liver support, juniper berry is going to be your best friend. Then, of course, we have the supplements. Terrazyme is a digestive enzyme that incorporates a lot of different types of digestive enzymes, very good for dogs and cats. Um, the amount that you give is really, most dogs over 25 pounds can have a full Terrazyme with each meal twice a day. And then if they're smaller than that, maybe a third to a half a capsule. Cats do really well with a quarter to a third of a capsule in their food. Just mix it in with wet food. Then probiotics, again, there's a lot of different ones out there. They're excellent. Omegas, a lot of different ones out there. You can do natural omegas with just fish or sardines. And then a joint supplement as well if the animal is starting to get into the senior years. Joint supplements should not be given when your animal starts having problems. It should be given before that because they're very preventative in nature, and as well as supporting when they do. You can always increase it, but you want to start giving it before they have lots of problems because you're going to actually prevent those problems from happening in the first place the earlier you give it. For more on supplements, I do have that guide for you guys, essentialoilvet.com/top 10 for you guys. Really, really helpful. And then, of course, we do have, as we wrap it up today, some save the dates for you guys in the membership. We do have uh, our Sunday Q&A, which we do every Sunday. So you can ask me questions at 6 p.m. Central Time on February 4th. This is the next one coming up. Friday, February 16th is going to be our next member workshop webinar, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Central on Friday night. Bring your wine or your favorite beverage. I'll be drinking sparkling water, probably, maybe with a little lime in it. And then this is the one we're going to talk about next is going to be allergies in animals, because it really goes hand in hand with what we're talking about today. Nutrition is super foundational for supporting your allergy animals if they have allergies. So very, very critical. And so we kind of moved the allergy one up compared to when we normally do it, because it just makes sense to do it next. And that'll be Friday, February 16th at 7 p.m. If you don't have any doTERRA essential oils that we kind of talked about, some good ones today, you can go to essentialoilvet.com/get oils to order. You can reach out to me if you're not sure what to get, or reach out to your doTERRA person if you have a doTERRA person or somebody, or if somebody invited you to this workshop, please reach out to them and see if they can help you. But if you don't have a doTERRA person and I'm the one who invited you, then you can email me at dr.janet.rourke@essentialoilvet.com, or you can text me at 512-529-1733, specifically about ordering. Also, if you breed dogs, there's actually a virtual breeder summit online that I'm participating in. I'm not running it, but I'm going to be talking about essential oils for breeding dogs on February 2nd, I think Friday. It goes from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I think mine's it's like right at 10 o'clock, I think, Central Time. So maybe 9 a.m. Mountain Time. So February 2nd and 3rd, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's totally free. There's the link there for that. BigHeartedBreeders.com. Actually, if you just go to BigHeartedBreeders.com, you'll actually find it on there, the link. And we do have one more giveaway. So for our final giveaway, I want to give away a free nutritional consultation for one of you. I usually charge $497 for this. So somebody's getting a great nutritional consultation. So I'd really like this to be a person who really needs support for an animal that's really kind of struggling. So if that's you, put me in the chat and we'll choose one of you for that. And then I want to make sure while you guys are doing that, let me look and see if there's any other questions real quick. looks like my team has been, like, you've been getting your answers in there. Awesome. Thank you guys for answering those questions. Very, very good. Okay. Who is our winner today for the consultation? Kelly, Kellie. You don't have a last name on here, but you are the winner. You've been super active. Congratulations. You get the free nutrition consultation. So send me an email. So reply back to one of my emails with your questions, and I'll send you a form to fill out for that, and we can get that on the schedule for you. Okay, let's see. So I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for your time. I hope you got something in the membership group. If you're in the Facebook group, I would love it if you guys posted your biggest takeaway from this particular workshop. And for those of you that are on live, let me know in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10 what you think of this particular workshop. Oh, so good. So good. Okay. So hopefully you grabbed one good thing, even if you got one good thing out of tonight. I hope it was super, super beneficial, and you have a little bit more confidence in knowing what to feed your animals. And if you have to do kibble, please do a little bit of whole food toppers as well. So very cool. Awesome, guys. You have an awesome week, and I'll see you on Sunday at 6 p.m. Central for our next Q&A.